Hello, hello. It is Wednesday, my dudes. And I'm driving home from work to my house. My house, not my parents' place. Which means I got about an hour and 15 minutes in the car. Now, normally I would spend this time talking to my mentor, but we already talked like twice this week. So instead, I decided to record a pep talk since it's been a long day at work. I've been at work since 6:40 a.m. and it's 4:14 p.m. now. It's been a busy day. I got a lot done though, and there's still more to do. At work I have 3 monitors, and at home I have a laptop. And I have 3 monitors at home, but for my personal desktop. If I was able to have them all connected, maybe I use a KVM switch or something, I would be a lot more productive at home than I probably am normally. But anyway, so today we are not talking about anything specific. I normally have an agenda, but I'm a bit brain fried. It's been a long day, and I've had a very emotional week with some tragedy that happened, and you guys heard about that on the Despair pep talk if you listened about that. So no surprise there. But I don't know. I'm kind of mentally burnt out a bit, but this is a very life-giving thing for me to record these. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think today I'm just going to talk. Not with like a set teaching you anything, but I have... What the heck is that guy doing? Sorry. A guy just made a right turn from 3 lanes over on the left side. He just passed through 3 lanes of cars on the red light. And it has a no turn on red sign. Like, oh, that is messed up. But yeah, I have no agenda. You can probably skip this episode if you want to. But I'm going to be, not rambling, but more so letting my mind let loose how it normally does. Instead of being as focused as I try to be for these. I have ADHD at this point, and like my mind jumps from so many different topics to one to another. And normally I keep it all in my head, but maybe speaking it out loud will help you to understand how that works. So, no agenda, just pure, unfiltered, partially filtered mental headspace. Just getting vomited out into one of these. I don't know. This might be really good, this might not be. Who knows? But this is very cathartic for me. So, you know what else is cathartic for me? Is milkshakes. Love milkshakes. I was talking with my friend Shane the other day, but he said he would do one of these pep talks with me at some point, so maybe you'll hear him on these. But I was talking with him the other day how he and I, we're cut from the same cloth, but we think in very different ways. We think in very similar ways, but we're differently oriented in how we solve problems. So he is very much so solution-oriented, and I'm problem-oriented. And he does business, and I do engineering. And we were talking about how, like, discipline and being, like, going about your life and doing things you want to do, and enjoying, like, the present. Mainly enjoying the present, because he's very much so future-minded, and I used to be, but now I'm more present-minded. So I've been giving him advice, I guess, on that aspect. Because if you dwell on the past, you get depressed usually, and if you look to the future, you get anxiety. But if you stay in the present, you're balanced, I guess would be the best way to put it. Not to say I don't look to the past, and not to say I don't look to the future. I mean, I do. It's just, staying in the present is a great way to minimize stress in your life. And to keep track of just, like, have plans for the future, and don't worry about them until they show up. And I mean in a wise way that doesn't harm yourself. Like, you're not being ignorant of the responsibilities in your life. You're just, if you don't have to worry about them, don't worry about them. It's not for now. Anyway, so we were talking, and I was saying that I have all these triggers in my life for how to enjoy the present. So I decided several years ago, like, milkshakes. They're one of the things I've consistently liked all my life since I was a little kid, because your taste buds change every 7 years or so. They regenerate and, die off and get replaced. So people, their sense of taste varies over the course of their life, which I find really cool. It means you don't necessarily enjoy the same things all your life, but it also means that you will have an acquired taste for other dishes you might not have previously enjoyed. So it expands your palate. And typically when you like the taste of something, you don't dislike the taste of something, you just add on to that. So, like, I didn't used to like the taste of, I'm trying to think of an example, mashed potatoes. I hated mashed potatoes for some reason. I don't know why. As a kid, maybe it was the texture. It was just creamy when it shouldn't have been creamy. It should have been crispy. And I hated mashed potatoes. But now I don't. I love mashed potatoes. Love's a strong word, but listen to my podcast on love. But I really enjoy mashed potatoes. That's an example. Or bananas. Like, wasn't the biggest fan of bananas growing up, but now I'll drink banana smoothies. I'll mix in strawberries, and those are good. But anyway, so milkshakes are one of those things where I have enjoyed them all my life consistently. So I have this trigger that if I'm out and about in the wild, I need to get over here. If I'm out and about in the wild, crap. Sorry, I just totally did a Maryland driver thing and cut someone off. Oh, man. They're probably not happy with me. Anyway, I have this trigger with milkshakes where if I see one, I am very compelled to acquire it, buy it, make it, whatever I gotta do to ingest it. Milkshakes will bring me to the yard, if you know what I mean. I just like milkshakes. So that's very much so like a living in the present mindset thing that I've put in my life. Like, okay, in order to live in the present, I will buy milkshakes because it's something I enjoy, and I won't think about it. I won't have to ponder and pine over every time I see a milkshake on a menu if I should get it or not. It's an automatic yes. Now, the other thing is, it's not such a ubiquitous item that you find it everywhere. Like, not every restaurant serves milkshakes. Not every place you go to serves them. And when you're at people's houses, like, they don't have them. So it's a rare enough item that I don't get fat over it or obese over it from over-ingesting it, but it's also a common enough item that I can buy it on probably, if I did every time, probably a weekly basis. But I don't, like, yes, I get it all the time, but I'm not going to drink milkshakes back to back to back, like 3 meals a day. On my birthday, on my 21st birthday, you might find this lame, you might not, you might find this awesome. On my 21st birthday, so people typically go out to drink, and like I did enjoy drinks and such, but during the day, because I had a mixed group of friends, some were over 21, some were under 21, and I had family too, like my brother who's younger, who I wanted to get involved. So I decided, like, okay, my actual birthday day celebration for my 21st, I'm not going to go out drinking. I'm going to go enjoy something else I like, and with people. And what that was milkshakes. So we went on a milkshake grand tour of the East Coast. By that I mean, like, Maryland and Pennsylvania. And we went to, we started at Geno's in Towson, which has the best milkshakes, I believe, in the entire planet that I've ingested so far in my life. And trust me, if you know me, you know how serious I am about milkshakes. Like, I have a scale of how I rate them, and Geno's is the 5 out of 5. They perfectly get the texture, perfect flavor. It's just cold enough that it's not frozen. Like, it's frozen, but it's not solid. They give you more on the side, like in the aluminum tin that they blend it in. So it's they do everything right, and their toppings, they have like 160 some milkshake flavors, or 130. It's a lot. They have a whole wall of milkshake flavors. So Geno's in Towson does it right, and I'm just now realizing that I actually work right near there, so maybe I'll have to go grab food from there sooner rather than later. I haven't yet since I started my job, and I haven't been there since my birthday, I don't think. Is this the East Ramp? Yeah, this is the East Ramp. Yes, we're going east. Oh, okay, so I must be north? Sorry, this ramp is turning in a way I wasn't expecting. But I am going the right way. I'm not getting lost like I did that one time on the stupid MMO podcast. That was dumb of me. That ain't happening again. Ain't no way. I need to get over. Please let me over. Thanks. But yeah. So, milkshakes, big trigger. It's my first birthday, we went to Geno's. Then we got in, I think it was 2 cars. My family didn't come for this, but my friends did. We got in 2 cars. I was driving one, and I think my friend Faith was driving the other. And it was my 2 friend groups, my back home, like, friends I grew up with, and my friends that I met in college. And I was driving the college people. And we drove from Towson all the way up to Hershey, Pennsylvania, just to go to Chocolate World, go on the chocolate tour, and get the Hershey's milkshakes that they serve there in Chocolate World, which are also really good. They're at like maybe 4.25, 4.5 out of 5. They're a bit small for my liking, for what you pay. It's like an $8 milkshake and you barely get anything. But their flavor is really good. And the texture, it's smooth, it's creamy. The peanut butter one was really good, but I can't have peanut butter anymore. For context, I adapted an allergy to peanut butter when I was 19, but specifically store-bought peanut butter and not peanuts. Peanuts are perfectly fine. I've been allergy tested, I've been blood tested. I eat peanuts. I can eat peanuts anytime I want, no problem. But peanut butter will put me into anaphylactic shock. And I also... car almost just hit into me. I also can sense or smell, it's really a smell, I can smell peanut butter from, like, 30 feet away. It's ridiculous, assuming there's a lot of it. Like, if you open up a jar and sit in a room and I'm on the other side of the room, I will notice it pretty quick. There was one time, I was at my old job in the makerspace. I used to work in a makerspace, where I did 3D printing and VR and everything, as a job. It was cool. And there was this regular girl who would come in. Her name will come to me, Becca. Her name was Becca. She was a couple years older than me. And she was just a regular. She would always be in there. She'd like take her lunch in there and just chill. So one day, my allergy had just developed, and it was pretty acute, and my friends, my coworkers weren't believing me. They're like, no way, you can sense it. And I'm like, I can, and they're like, you gotta prove it now. I'm like, well, I really can't unless you bring in peanut butter, don't tell me. So, I'm on one side of the room, she's on the other side of the room, and there's like a good probably 20, 25 feet between us. It was a pretty long room, with a high vaulted ceiling. And I'm facing one wall, she's facing the other, and she's sitting at like a table eating. And she's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, this was my time. I could feel it. I knew that there was peanut butter in the room, and I didn't know where it was or who brought it in or what, but I knew there was. So, I'm facing the wall, I'm like right up against the wall, and I say, I like yell out, I'm like, who is eating peanut butter? And then I jump, like I do a jump and I turn 180 in the air and land on my 2 feet in like a half squat, and I do like finger guns and I point, like a cowboy would, which is so dorky, but that was kind of the point. And like I did a full 180 in one jump, and I just see Becca on the other side of the room. She like literally, she has 2 hands on her sandwich, and she's taken, this was her 3rd bite of it. Literally, that's it. 3 bites, 25 feet away. I can feel it. 3 bites of it, and she's like full chubby bunny in her mouth. She stopped, she like freezes in her tracks. She's just like wide-eyed staring at me, like, oh, and just completely frozen. And I said, like, yeah, I'm allergic. And she's like, oh, sorry, and then wrapped it up very quick. And I was like, no, don't worry, like, it's fine, like. And she did eat it outside the room, luckily, because I can feel it when it's in the air. It's an uncomfortable feeling in the air, but it won't kill me. It just makes me very itchy and cold sweat type stuff. But I proved it to my coworkers in that moment of like, yeah, I can sense peanut butter far away pretty quickly. They believed me after that, but they lacked faith until they were shown, and it's the faith of those who don't need to see that are blessed. Anyway, anywho's. There's a guy on YouTube I watch called Spearshot. He does League of Legends videos, and he says anywho's all the time. I think I'm trying to remember where he's from. He might be Romanian, or he speaks English, but he has an accent. He might be English. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like a normal English accent, but he says anywho's a lot. And I've been slowly adopting that into my vernacular, just the more I watch him. The only reason I do is he's very energetic, and he doesn't flame people like people normally do. That game is very toxic, League of Legends, if you know it or heard of it. The fan base and community that play it are very toxic people, typically speaking. Okay, I need to head south to Baltimore. We are not making this mistake again. Almost hit that car. Alright, you need to pass me so I can turn. Alright, we're headed south. This time, we're not going to New York from the south side. I know the way from here. Yeah, League of Legends, I've been playing it for 10 years, since Season 3. Or it might be 11 years at this point. They're in Season 14. I joined halfway through Season 3, and so, yeah, timing's a bit wonky. But I've been playing it for 10 years. Don't ask me my rank. When I started out, everyone's bad when they start out, but my friends were in the Platinum and Diamonds ELO rating, which is pretty high, especially back before they added the intermediate rankings like Emerald, which didn't used to exist. And you basically went from like Diamond to Master, Challenger, whatever it was. And so, or was it Platinum? No, it was Diamond. Yeah, because you have Gold, Platinum, Diamond. So my friends were really good, and I was playing with them as a noob back in the day. So my ELO, which is and my MMR, which are ratings that the game doesn't tell you explicitly, but it's a culmination of looking at who you've played with, how you do in your matches, what ranks are you playing against, who do you play with, like from your lobby, and it takes all that data and it tries to match you against people with equivalent data. So starting out, I was an awful player, but I was getting matched against people who know-life the game and were sweaty pros because that's what my friends were. So it was a bit frustrating to pick up the game at times. But I did. I kept up with it, and I do enjoy it. I'm not a competitive person, and I don't get tilted or upset at video games, really. So, and my friends do all the time. They are the most competitive, like, upset, toxic people when they're gaming. So it's funny, like, they can't tilt me, and they get frustrated that I'm not upset because they are so upset. It's an interesting dynamic. But anyway, Yeah, so I've been playing League for a while. So yeah, don't ask me my ranking. I don't play rank that often by myself. When I play fives with them, I got up to, was I plat or gold? I can't remember. We didn't play that much, but I was able to get in the gold. I think I've gotten, I don't know, by myself I think I'm technically in silver elo, but I don't play ranked by myself. I'm a social gamer. Typically. It's just not fun. Anywho's, still no agenda, still just driving. Got a beautiful sun out shining in my eyes right now. But this morning was really cool, is there was a waxing crescent. A very, very steep looking waxing crescent. A very thin sliver waxing crescent this morning. And it was on the horizon. I saw it when I left my house. Like, as I walked out the door, there's a little deck, and then you go down onto the sidewalk. And I could see it over the tree line, or through the tree line from the deck. I couldn't see it once I got to ground level. But driving up here to work, I saw it as I rounded a hill. And it was really cool, because I had this like beautiful like sunscape in the background. Like, sun was rising, but it hadn't come up yet, so you still had the dark tint to the fade, to the blue, to the light orange. And then there was the moon, and it was yellow. Normally it's white, but it was yellow. With a yellow waxing crescent, which I kept trying to think, was it waning or waxing? And the difference is waxing is it's coming into view, waning is it's going out of view. So waxing heads towards a full moon, waning heads towards a new moon. If that makes sense. So yeah, it was beautiful. And then there was another celestial body that was near it, that was very bright, and it was too bright to be a star at this distance, probably. So I'm thinking it was either Venus or Jupiter. I'm gonna guess it was Venus, but I would have to have a star chart or a telescope to be able to confirm that at the time, or look it up. You can type in the Julian date, and there's tons of apps online that will tell you like what the night sky looked like at that very moment in time. I've worked with them for my coursework back in college, because we stupid snag app. We had a professor who was the most dry and boring professor ever. His last name was Healy, I'll just say it that. But he developed this software for MATLAB called Snag App, and it was some acronym. But the software was pretty useful. It let you propagate orbits out. You just had to put in initial conditions and the date, Julian date, and it could give you an orbit, and your orbital elements, data and such. But he had us program the code to do all that, and then told us about the app that he developed, the tool he developed. So we had to learn how to do it, and then he made it easy for us. But of course, at that point, not a lot of us used the app because we already wrote the code for it. We knew how our code worked. But he would assign homeworks where you had to use it. So it was a bit of a pain. And it's funny, and it's sad. It was a 74-person class, and so everyone does this where people will show up to a lecture, and then they stop showing up. They'll usually show up to the first or second one, then they'll stop showing up, and they'll just watch it online, or they'll, take notes from the book or whatever. And Healy was such a dry lecturer. He was so lame, I guess would be the way to put it. And also he just went straight for the book. And the book he wrote himself, and it wasn't even finished. So you got everything out of his lecture was you could just read the book. Like, you didn't need to show up to absorb the material. But I faithfully did for the entire semester. And by the end of it, in a 74-person class, there were about 6 of us that would consistently show up every week. And it was really funny was when we had a guest lecturer come in. I feel bad for him. We had a really nice guest lecturer, and he gave a great lecture. And I think there were 12 of us in the class that day, out of 74. And it was kind of sad. On exam days, the class was packed, and everyone was shoulder to shoulder because they gave us a small room. But it was, yeah, don't take Healy if you can avoid it. But his work is grounded and is quite, he does good work. He's just not a good lecturer. That happens. It's okay. You don't have to be good at everything. Teaching is an acquired skill anyway, and it takes time and energy and practice and study to be good at teaching. If it sounds really loud right now, I'm going through the tunnel, Baltimore tunnel, 95 tunnel. I've been messing with the audio settings, trying to cut the car noise out. I don't know if it's helping or not, but I think it's better than it definitely was. I say that, I haven't even edited this clip yet, of course, because I'm recording it actively, and it probably won't get touched for a couple weeks, but I'm intending to cut out the car audio where I can. It just might wash out my vocal audio a bit, because I noticed that the octave band or the frequency band for my voice is about the same tone and intonation at the same frequency as this car rumbling sound, and I was like dissecting the car rumbling sound using I was EQing it, equalizing it, and you can isolate like frequencies, and you can like basically put a hole of like, I'm gonna cut out all the frequencies in this range, and to get all the car audio out, I had to cut out like five different frequency ranges when I did it for the gospel video I recorded a while back. 5 different frequency ranges very acutely, and it was affecting my voice. So then I had to put a wave hammer on it to cut out the GPS audio, which what that does is whenever it detects an audio spike, it hammers it down to whatever level you determine. So I just determined 0, which is you want to balance your audio for 0. It's like a universal balancing standard, and it's 0 decibels. But I balanced my audio for that, and used the wave hammer, and that helped a lot, I think. So I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah. Decibels are fun. I think I talked about that on the sound podcast too, but it's a logarithmic scale where every 10 decibels you go is twice as loud as the previous thing, because logs are base 10. Normally logarithms are base 10, but you can set the base to whatever you want. But yeah, so decibel scales, the difference between 60 and 70, very loud. 70 and 80, very loud. 80 to 90, you better be wearing hearing protection. 90 to 100, you better not be standing next to it. Like 100 to 110, you're losing your hearing. 110 to 120, you're losing your hearing more permanently, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Man, so there's a section of Baltimore on 95 that when you drive through it, it smells like sulfur, and it's weird. Like I don't like the smell, but it reminds me of it's like nostalgic at this point. Like driving through is like, oh, I'm heading home, or I'm leaving home in this case. And it's a very acute smell that is only in this stretch of 95. If you've driven it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I know there's a coal pile nearby underneath, so it might be from that they're processing coal or burning it, and that might release sulfur. Or it might be there's a natural gas plant as well. And natural gas is colorless and odorless, but they add sulfur to it so that you can smell it in case there's a natural gas leak. So I don't know if power plants add it in when they burn it or not, but it's added in, at least in the your home's piping system. Excuse me. Let's see what to do. Tonight I got community group with my church fam. Part of them at least, and that's a fun thing I look forward to every week. So gonna get home probably around, let's see, I left at 4:15, it was an hour and 15 drive, probably get home at 5:30. I gotta pick one of the guys up at 6:10 to go, and then that's gonna take, I probably won't get home by the time I drop him off till like 10:15, probably 10, maybe a little earlier. And by that point, like, I wake up at 6, when I'm home, I wake up at like 6:25, and start work at 6:30. But I really won't have much time, today to do things I want to do. But I have to remind myself that this is something I want to do. I want to go to community group. I want to spend time with my peeps, my church fam, my friends, my brothers and sisters. And we do. We really hang out. Like, so this happens every Wednesday, but we start. It's a usually 3-hour meeting, and we start. We meet up at someone's house, and we all bring food. It's a potluck style, like whatever the theme is, we're all bringing food for it. So it's taco night tonight. So I'm bringing the drink. I'm bringing strawberry lemonade and some taco sauce, like red sauce. One sec, gotta take a drink. Yeah, I can feel the back of my throat like straining. Ooh, I gotta remember to turn right here. They did some new construction here. But anyway, so yeah, first hour is eating and chatting and hanging out and just catching up and talking and chilling. Not really an agenda. Sometimes we'll do like a little prompt to talk about, but most of the time it's just chilling, enjoying life, being in each other's lives. Then the next hour we all form up usually in this group we were in the basement, but we form up in the basement and we get some chairs and there's a couch and stuff. And a giant, we call it the bro bag. There's this giant beanbag couch it's just a giant beanbag, and we usually will put 4 or 5 guys on it. So we've been affectionately calling it the bro bag. But I've also shared it with other people who are not guys, women. So it depends on who shows up. But we'll all meet in the basement, and then we'll study God's Word for an hour, study the Bible for an hour. And we usually look ahead to what our pastor, Rob Stevens, is teaching in the sermon. So if right now we're in Genesis, we're in the first book of the Bible. And so we're in chapter 3, or we just finished chapter 3, I think. Or we're about to. We're still in it because we had not guest speaker, but my church went on a missions trip to Nicaragua 4 weeks ago, and then they spent half the sermon on Sunday unpacking the trip of everyone who went, and then the other half was a sermon on missions. So we kind of like interrupted the Genesis study bit, but we're in Genesis, and so we'll go and study what he's going to teach on this next Sunday, so that we are prepared to hear it and prepare our hearts for it. Because I've been in community groups where we study what he just taught on, or whoever's teaching taught on, and usually people show up the community group and they all have this preconceived notion of what the text says, and they have all these answers because we all heard it on Sunday, which is fine, but it's not the same level of critical thinking when you have to synthesize it for yourself and then interpret it and chew through it with other people, which is why I like that we study ahead of time, so we know what we're going to talk and hear about on Sunday in depth, but we also get to come up with our own conclusions and throw out a few ideas. And there's enough of us that the opinions actually do differ frequently, so it does make for really good, wholesome discussion. We're not like fighting or arguing. It's here's your point, here's the reasons for it, here's what I think, here's a tradition, here's what I've heard, that kind of stuff. And we got a mixed bag of intellectuals too, so that makes it fun in terms of the research people do, the prep. Yeah. But so then we play for an hour, and then we break off in the groups, and we'll completely separate guys, girls, and then we'll subdivide. Usually there's enough of us. I don't know I think all the girls stay together, but the guys will subdivide, and usually in the groups of 3 or 4, occasionally 5 if it's like a weird number. But we'll break up, and then we'll spend the next hour praying for each other. And it usually takes about an hour to do it. Even if there's 3 people, it will. If there's 5 people, it will. It's weird. It's kind of balanced, and it self-balances. But that's really one of the most life-giving things I do in my week, is spending an hour in prayer for other people. And we rotate, so like one person prays for you, you pray for a different person, that person prays for a different person. Like, it's not all 5 or all 4 praying for one person, it's one person for one person. So it's very life-giving. You feel like you're known, you feel like that you can just open up. Like, these are people I trust. Like, I don't hide things from them if I need prayer for it, you know. Or want prayer for it, or whatever, or praise for it. There's good things that happen we talk about too, and we thank God for it. But yeah, so that's one of the most life-giving hours of my life every week. And I do love also just praying for people. I love being in their lives. I like being needed, we'll put it that way. Not that I am, and not that prayer, like, God's the one doing everything when you pray. You're just the one being faithful to ask. But it's, I don't know, it's good for people to rely on you, and I rely on God, so it works out, and vice versa for all these guys. So, yeah, I like my family. Speaking of family, my cousins are doing this weekend, coming up, are doing a wedding thing, official wedding thing in the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, but they are. And there's some other drama in the background, but they got actually married, and then now they're getting a Catholic marriage ceremony. So it's been a few months, or it's been over a year. But there's reasons for this, but that's happening this weekend, and ironically, my friend Jacob, his block party hosts a Supapalooza every year, which, you know, well, maybe you don't know. It's a potluck, another potluck, but everyone brings soup in crock pots, and we share soup and share recipes. So this year, I'm planning on bringing Italian wedding soup. And that was ironically planned out before I got invited to the Catholic Italian wedding thing. So I was joking with my cousin, and I was like, yeah, hey, you want to come to Supapalooza afterwards? Get some Italian wedding soup for your Italian wedding? And because she loves Italian wedding soup, she told me. But I digress. So I have a busy weekend with that. Sunday I'm meeting up with my mentor, Jim, and we're going bowling. That's the plan. That will be fun. And I might also be picking up a laser cutter this weekend. I think that's the plan. Another old friend of mine, Jordan, he's getting rid of a laser cutter. Or more so, he's not using a laser cutter, and I'm looking to acquire one. And he has issues with it, so I'm going to take it off his hands. So it'll be my piece of junk that'll sit around and do nothing instead of his. But he's given it to me, and I'm very appreciative. I laser cut wedding gifts for people. So I'll ask the couple, or ask someone in the couple what their favorite picture of them together is, and then I will laser cut. I'll edge that into a piece of really fancy plywood, and as high DPI as I can, as high resolution as I can. And I'll give that to them as a wedding gift. I'll frame it too, but I'll give that to them as a wedding gift, because I don't mind buying stuff from a registry for weddings. Like, that's fine, that's the expectation. But this is, in well, I don't want to say it's more affordable, but it is. A little piece of wood is much cheaper than buying, I don't know, a KitchenAid mixer or whatever, a vacuum cleaner. And it's something I know they'll display. Like, it's their favorite picture, and also it's a wood burned, like wood carved picture. Like, it's cool. You can't just print that out. So people display it. So it's a very thoughtful gift, and people appreciate it. Like, I've come to this realization, as I was telling my grandmother this when I visited yesterday, which you probably heard about in the time management pep talk, because that was like 12 minutes long or 10 minutes long or something. But I was talking with her. I was telling her I've grown to appreciate gifts that people make or write or do more than gifts they buy. And I like to give those kind of gifts more, because I've realized that, you know, when you're an adult, you ideally have more money than you've ever had in your life. Ideally, if you've made wise decisions. And like, if I want something, like, I can buy it. I mean, I might have to save up for it, or I might have to, you know, I might have to control my impulses a bit, let's just say that. But if I really want something, like, I can usually just go get it. I'm not talking about, like, nice cars and stuff, but an example would be, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something I bought recently. Oh, yeah, CO2 sensor. So I bought a CO2 sensor for my room, because I live in a basement bedroom with no windows and poor ventilation. I pay really cheap rent, but that's going to end in July. Anyway, I bought a CO2 sensor, and at one point I had borrowed one from my old work, when I was working in the library, because we loaned them out for some reason. And I texted my old boss. I'm like, hey, what was the model of the CO2 sensor we used to use? And she sent it to me, and I looked it up, and it's $180. And I was like, oh no, I ain't spending $180 on a number that I will just see updated every 10 minutes. So I did some bargain shopping, and there's some really not good ones out there that don't give accurate readings. And the most affordable, the cheapest accurate reading one I could find was $50. So I spent $50 on a CO2 sensor, but it's something that I can use my entire life, and it's something that shouldn't break. Just gotta swap batteries in it, I guess, well, it's rechargeable. Then that would normally be like a happenstantial, like, oh, if you're getting me a gift, get me this. This is what I want. Like, there's no urgency to it, but I bought it for myself because I can. So I appreciate when people buy me things. Not to sound spoiled, but like it's nice. It's nice. But I really do enjoy the effort, the energy, the time, even if it's bad, the thing that people will make themselves, or do themselves, or thoughtfully write up themselves for me. Like, I have I've done enough things for people over the years that I've accumulated this long, or not a list, and not a pile, but like, I've accumulated quite a few thank you letters over the years from just people thanking me for stuff I've done for them. And I cherish those. Like, I keep those. Like most cards, you read a card and you throw it in the trash. Like, these I have sitting on my desk. They're behind my desk, and they actually kind of hide the wiring a bit. They're on the top corner, but I really do cherish them. It's if I'm ever discouraged, I can always pull one out and read it. They're all handwritten, like people taking the time. I got ones that they're colored in with crayon from kids, or ones that are written in the doctor's handwriting. Ugh, just horrible to read. Or I got ones that are beautifully cursive writing that span both pages and go on to really just say thank you for whatever I did at the time. Like I told a story when I told the Love pep talk. I told a story about my friend Emily and what I did for her, and she wrote me a thank you card, and I have that thank you card amongst many other thank you cards. And like that's probably one of my favorites, actually, just because her handwriting is awesome. If she's ever listening to this, she's probably going to be mortified, but you have fantastic handwriting, Emily, and it's beautiful. So, like, that's one of my favorites, and it's sitting there in the pile amongst all the other ones. But yeah, so being thanked, it's not like I do the things to receive the thank you cards. It's like a natural byproduct that I don't even think about it. I can't even say it's a tertiary thought. Like, it's non-priority thought in my mind. I don't expect the thank you card when I do stuff. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not thinking about it. It happens. I don't know. Have you ever take the love languages test? I think, I'm trying to remember. I think my number one love language right now, out of, like, it blows everything else out of the water, is gift giving. And I never thought about it until when I did the test. I realized, like, I know everything that's ever been given to me as a gift. I know exactly who gave it to me and around what time they gave it to me. And usually for what holiday or occasion. Like, it's weird. Like, it's burned into my brain. When I have something, an object, that has been given to me, that sticks with me. Like, I know it and I realize it. And, like I got gifts from 12 years ago that I still use, and I know exactly who got it for me. As an example, I'm wearing pants right now. They're Amazon basic pants. They're khakis, but they're like maroon khakis. And I got them from my mom 3 Christmases ago, and I still wear them. And like, I just know that, you know. That's where I got it. Or I'm trying to think what else I got on me. I mean, not really much else. Oh, man. Let's see, where are we? Still on 95. Okay. I got a few more exits before I get to Route 1. Yeah. Just passing a rest area, and it had a fence, chain link fence, that reminded me of, there's this game called Project Zomboid. And this game it's still in development, and has a very passionate fan base and team. But it's an accurate zombie apocalypse survival game. What I mean by accurate is it's hyper realistic. And I don't just mean, like, there are survival games that are semi-realistic. This one is hyper realistic. There's no superpowers. There's no special anything. The crafting is very, well, I don't want to say limited. They're expanding it soon in the most recent update, but the crafting is like what the average person could make, probably. Unless you're skilled or you have a starter profession. Like if you're an electrician, you can start the game as an electrician. If you're an electrician by trade, like, you can craft remote controllers and electrical traps easier. But if you're like a firefighter, then you have bonus skills to using axes, because fireman's axe. Or if you're a chef profession, like, you have better cooking. Your food gives you more nutrition. That kind of stuff. But anyway, they recently expanded on the map. It takes place over in Illinois or Kansas. I think it's Illinois is where the game takes place, near Knoxville. Is Knoxville? I don't know. I know there's a Muldrow in the game, and there's a Riverside. Oh, it's Kentucky. It's Kentucky. There's a Louisville in the game. That's the thing they added. And to get to Louisville, there's a border checkpoint with full chain link fence and everything. That's what the thing I saw reminded me of. And the story is, like, zombie apocalypse happens. It starts in Kentucky, of all things, at the hospital. Military gets in, tries and control it, and they end up sectioning off the city, Louisville, from the rest of the neighboring towns. And that ends up being like the refugee populace for that, basically the state in that area. and the military's actively there. They're fighting zombies and they're keeping the infection out best they can. And about 3 months go by before I guess zombies breached the wall or something, the fence, and basically infected the entire city. It's sad, but it's zombie apocalypse. And Louisville is it's super populated because the zombies were formed there 3 weeks after the apocalypse. So, apocalypse starts, zombies will migrate and spread out in smaller towns. But Louisville was a metropolitan city in the game. It probably is in real life. And if you get there, it's the most zombie dense area of the map, and it also has the best loot because it hasn't been picked clean yet. Like it was freshly turned. Although because of there were shortages in supplies, being trapped for 3 months in a city with that many people, that a lot of resources are not there. But like you can find a ton of guns and ammo in the military base at the checkpoint, as an example. But it's intense. If you ever want to see cool gameplay of it, there's a couple guys that will do Louisville like challenge modes, where they will spawn in the hospital, as an example, which is the most densely zombified building in the entire game. And they will try and escape. And they spawn as if it's like the Rick Grimes challenge, where you set all your stats to 0 and your fitness and athletics to 0 and you have injuries, and you have to try and strengthen yourself before you can escape to do it. And there's no weapons really either, except what you can find in the hospital. So it makes for interesting gameplay. There's another guy who does rooftop challenges where to avoid the zombies, he stays on the roof. And it's very challenging to try and find food from roof to roof because the zombies he turns up the settings, so there's a lot more of them. I watched a series where he did like 100 days of rooftops, and it was like a 3-hour long video. It was really interesting. Project Zomboid's such a hyper-realistic zombie survival game that it's like, yeah, I would do that too, or no, I wouldn't do that, or like you put yourself in the situation. And when you die, that's it. Like, it's one of the most brutal games. If you die, you start over. Like, you could be in a world for 3 hours, you have to start over. You could be in a world for in-game 3 years, and if you die, you have to start over. And it's a moddable game too. But the base game, if you get bit, you're turning into a zombie. Like, I think it's a 99% chance you turn into a zombie if you're bit. I think they do leave a 1% just so people will still play. Because if you get bit, like, most people will just quit there. But some people will, and I've done this before, I'll play it out. And you get sicker and sicker, but you can treat yourself until it gets to a point when you can't after like 3 or 4 days, and then you do turn into a zombie, you die. And it was very depressing. I was holed up in my house. I couldn't leave because I was so weak. And luckily I had enough stockpiled food, but man, it was tragic. Reminds me of another game I played once. My ex-girlfriend, one of them, or I've had 4. She knew I was a gamer, and she got me to sit down in her living room with her laptop and to play this game. And I didn't really want to play it, but I played it anyway for her sake. And it was a bunker survival game. So you have the goal. The idea is there's a nuclear bomb that's being dropped, and you have a 30. Well, you can change in the settings, but you have either a 15, 30, 45, or 1 minute warning before you need to get in your bunker, because that's realistic. Like, someone shoots a missile at us, you'll be lucky you get a minute of heads up. So the idea is you go around your house very quickly and you grab as many supplies as you can and you hop in your bunker and seal it. And then you have to survive with whatever supplies you grabbed, and it's never enough. And you have to make decision. It's a decision-making game of do you send your family out to go look for stuff? Do you hold back on giving people food and rationing it, which makes you weaker and sicker. And basically, you gotta survive until you get to one of the endings of the game, and it's not a time-based ending either. You have to go do stuff to get endings. And so, she apparently, my ex, had been playing this game for a year, and she had never beat the game successfully. Like, she's tried everything. She was super frustrated with it, and she didn't tell me. But she gave it to me to, just play it, because she wanted to see me be frustrated with it and play it with her. So I play it. I'm playing for about an hour for the playthrough, and then I beat the game in my first try. I was like, oh, that's fun. Thanks for showing me. And she's flipping out. She's like, what the heck? Like, how did you do it? And she's sitting there watching me do it, but she's just, freaking out that I was able to beat the game. And it was, super frustrating for her. I guess. I mean, we're exes now, but it's funny thinking back on it. And I was like, yeah, no, I just made, wise decisions and, kept my family alive and prioritized keeping them alive. I did end up sending the oldest daughter out. So it's you, your wife, your daughter, and your son. And as I'm playing, she's telling me all the Easter eggs that I'm doing, and oh yeah, if you send your daughter out, there's a 30% chance she comes back mutated, and she did. And she's super resistant to the radiation when you do that, so you can just keep sending her out and go grab supplies. And it was just everything that could go right did, statistically speaking, from all the odds of stuff happening. And she was just flaming. She was fuming that I beat the game. I find it hilarious. But yeah, we dated for 6 months, and then she broke up with me. That's a longer story. I'm not going to get into that. I know I'm just rambling, but even I won't do that for your sake. Let's see, stuck in traffic still. Oh, hold up, my steering keeps veering. If I hold it straight, am I turning? Yeah, it's veering. Which probably means I have a flat again. Yeah, my car's sitting lower. I think it might be. My tire the other day was, so tires are normally around 30 psi gauge pressure, what you put them at, pounds per square inch, and gauge being above atmospheric, because there's pressure on us right now. And I was driving on it, and I didn't realize it was flat, and it was down to 3 psi. And my dad was like, I don't know how your tire didn't bust. So I've been keeping an eye on it, and this tire has gone low before. So it's probably a slow leak in the winter time, because that's when it happens. But my car is not driving as straight, which either means my front end isn't aligned properly, or I have a semi-flat tire that's pulling me to the side. So that's probably what it is. It's not probably a big concern right now, but I will have to pump it before I drive later today. And I can use a bicycle pump to do it, or I got my dad got my brother and I for Christmas a automatic pump. I need a wrench. I'll see. I'll have to check, see if I have a wrench to get my hubcap off. If not, I have pliers I can use, I guess. But, yeah, he bought me a tire pump. And he bought my brother one. He's a car guy. And he wants to take care of us. So I appreciate him. Ooh, it's feeling... Now that I'm going slow, I feel it more and more. It might also be fine, and I'm just feeling the bumps in the road. We'll see. We'll see. But this part of the video is probably nice and quiet from the car noise, because I'm in traffic. Just coasting. Yeah. Alright. I am tired. I've been up since 5:30 in the morning. It's weird. I come to work and it's sun rising, I'm leaving work, not even home yet, and it's sun setting. I like my job. I'm not normally a workaholic, but I do very much so feel pressured to get work done as it comes in, which is so opposite how I was in college. But it was true for when I worked in college. Like, if I do anything for myself, I'm pretty lazy with it. But if I do things for other people, I'm on the ball. So, college, I was procrastinating doing homework assignments as late as possible. But when I was working at my job, in internships, I would get stuff done as fast as possible and as efficiently and affordably as possible. And I'm the same way now, which is a good thing. But it's weird. It's like, since there's an added responsibility, my time is also just, I don't know. I feel like I have to do things as soon as they come in. And I've been historically doing them as soon as they come in. Like I've had to get submittals in, and I usually do it same day, actually. Or the next, like I'll get assigned at the end of the day, and I'll do it all next day to finish it up. Yeah, now this has been... I got two jobs assigned yesterday. 2 days ago? I'm not exactly sure. But they're jobs that both of them are about $300,000 worth. And so I'm being responsible... they were assigned same day, but I'm being responsible for about $600,000 worth of jobs, which is a lot. Oh man, this is a 1 mile slowdown. Jeez. I really don't want to get over because it'll be so slow, but I should. I got a mile. Yeah, this sucks. But yeah, so I got these big jobs that were thrown at me, and I was trying to get one done today and do the other one tomorrow. I was really trying to get both done today, but I kept getting kickbacks from one of the guys I was working with. I had an issue with the software, the selection software, and I sent it to our specialist who deals with that software. And he's like, I've never seen that error before. So then we spent some time diagnosing that and fixing it, and I had to go through and redo things. It just added up. Went out to lunch, played a chess game over my lunch break with one of my coworkers. We have a chessboard. He's pretty good at chess. I'm fairly good at chess as well. If he's the best person in the office, I'm confidently the second best person in the office. Put it that way. Oh, that was a fast half mile. Alright, I need to get over at some point. Let's go in here. Alright, made it over. Cool. But yeah, so we play chess a lot in the office on lunch breaks. So we had Chipotle today. I had big breakfast. And by big, I mean I had a cup of noodles, ramen, applesauce, and a granola bar. I don't know, breakfast ramen hits different. I'll make ramen. I'll boil it in a pot with spinach and egg. I'll drop egg into it and cook it that way, and then I'll usually season it more so than just the packs they give you. The last time I made it, I put soy sauce in it, which isn't... I wouldn't normally do that, but I was trying to use up the last of my bottle of soy sauce. It wasn't bad. But the problem was I put legumes in. I had a bag of small legumes I was given. Don't ask. But I was given legumes. Sorry, not legumes. Legumes are a general category. I was given lentils. That's the word. I was given lentils. And I put them in, and because I've never cooked with lentils. I've had lentils before, but I've never cooked with them. So I was like, boiling them should be fine. So I boiled lentils. And they were still, even after 15 minutes of boiling, like they were still pretty hard, but still had like mushy centers. with a hard shell and a mushy center, and it was just not enjoyable at all, and the taste was not good either. And it ruined my dinner, because I cooked it in. It was not good. Some big birds, jeez. There's like 6 vultures just off the side of like on the light posts on the road. Wonder what they're waiting for. There's lots of vultures. They're big birds. Birds of prey. Carrion feeders. Let's see what's happening this week. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the new World of Warcraft Season of Discovery expansion is releasing, which ups the level cap from 25 to 40. And I am planning on playing that tomorrow night with some friends. But also, I have a breakfast. Oh, I have to do that in the morning too. I'm grabbing breakfast with my friend Bob, and we're grabbing breakfast at like 6:15 a.m. There's a diner near my house, 8 minutes away from my house, that opens at 6. We're grabbing breakfast, and then I'm grabbing dinner with my friend Shane, who I mentioned previously in this podcast. And normally I meet on Thursday nights with this guy named David. And David he just retired. He's a wise fellow. He's from Taiwan. And he's an introvert who talks very slowly and is very interesting and thoughtful, but he will go on and on. Last time we met up for dinner, we talked for 3 hours straight. Like, it was, yeah, you can imagine. I talk a lot, but I couldn't get a word in with him. He loves to talk. So I'm going to try and mix those plans, because David was in Taiwan for the last 10 days, and I didn't know when he was coming back. He just told me he was going to go see family. So I made plans for dinner in lieu of meeting with him, and now he's back, so now I'm trying to get him in on the plans, which is ironic. Sorry, it's a little bumpy, but I think that's just the road, not me. But yeah, I'm trying to get him in on the plan, so you'll have my friend Shane, who's 21, you'll have David, who's 60-something, 65, 67, I think 67. Maybe 63. Yeah, 67. But yeah, I'll be trying to get those two that have fun talking to each other. They both love to talk. There's a guy in front of me selling flowers on the side of the road, going between cars to try and make some extra money. They've been here for years. I don't need any flowers right now, but if I did, I'd probably buy it from them. Thing is, there's a shopper's market right next door to where they're selling, and I'm looking at the plastic that they have the bouquets in, and it's the same as in Shoppers. So what they probably did is they went into the store, bought flowers, and are now just selling them at a higher price. But yeah, so now it's a green light, so I can move on. At least I understand people begging for money. I've been in the low income, no income. The lowest I ever got was I had was it 39 or 43? I think it was $43 in my bank account, and that was after maxing it. That was like after cashing in all the coins I had saved up all my life. I had some bonds that were given to me when I was born. I cashed those in. I did like everything I could to cash in money I had, and it was during COVID, and I was down to $43. I think it was COVID, or it was right before COVID. It might have been COVID, the start of it. And I didn't get the welfare check that everyone got, because I was filing as a dependent at the time, for tax reasons. But anyway, yeah, so I understand not having much money. I've been there, I've lived that life. But I also have been blessed with great support groups who have taken care of me, and a God who has taken care of me consistently over the course of my life. and not everyone has that, but it's more common than you think if you look for it. Like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of friends. I hope you have a lot of friends, but if you do, if you need something, like, it's okay to rely on them. Maybe you spread it out so you're not constantly going to the same person, but like if you need to, like, your rent's up and you need to crash for a couple nights, I'm sure some friends will lend their couch to you. Or if your car breaks down, I'm sure one will give you a ride. You call an Uber, but that didn't used to be the case. It says open 24 hours, but I know they open at 6. Huh. It's weird. Anyway, pulling into the town I live in, and it's busy as ever. It's weird, it's a Wednesday. Let's see. I'll just say, like, I live, currently speaking, in College Park. Not to get doxxed or anything, but if you've listened this far into the video, you know enough about my life in the past. Like, you haven't tuned this out yet. I don't mind telling you that. But I'm in this town, and this town is so developed because of the university I went to for college, that all the prices for real estate here are stupid expensive. Like, the place I used to live in, the University View, it is the most, I believe it is the most expensive apartment complex in the entire country, if I remember correctly from what my real estate friend told me. It is the actually most expensive. It's like value, I'm trying to remember what he said it was valued at. It has like 1,500 units in it. It's huge. I'm trying to remember if he said it was $180 million or if it was $1.8 billion. I can't remember. But it is freaking expensive. It's in prime real estate. It's right next to campus. The rooms are not garbage. They're not great, but it's not garbage. There's a lot of restaurants nearby, and there's a liquor store right across the way, so of course people want to live there. It is college after all. But yeah, it's just, real estate here is stupid expensive. I've looked into buying things in this area, buying a home in this area, and I kind of want to, but is that it's not affordable. It's not even practical. Like, what I could afford here is maybe like a 1-bed, 1-bath condo, which for just me, that's enough, but I'm paying a lot more for it here than I would any other spot. I could rent, but renting has its ups and downs. I want to you can be hospitable in a rental, but I specifically want to host family and friends and possibly people for seasons of life where they need it. Because I've been in that position where, let's say, this happened to me freshman year. I got a job. I couldn't get a job anywhere, but I got this internship teaching as I was a teacher, instructor, a TA for UMD's Young Scholars Program, which is run through the engineering school. And what you're doing is you're teaching high school students engineering. You're teaching them, the class was the ANES 100, which is like Intro to Engineering Design. And I was teaching high schoolers engineering, and I was praying for a job, and it was a whole, like, I had a job lined up, and then the person whose job I was taking said that they were going another year and was going to keep their job. And what I had lined up closed, like, the door was closed. And I remember I was in my bed. It was Tuesday night, and I was praying. Like, God, I trust you. Like, you just closed one door, I know you'll open another. So I wake up, had an 8 a.m. math discussion. So I woke up at like 7:49 or something. Woke up, and I see an email in my inbox, top of my inbox, saying, summer TAs requested for this program, engineering program, and the person who sent it I knew, Dr. Lovell, who he runs the UMD's chapter of the Society of American Military Engineers, which I'm a part of, which is a great network. Got a scholarship through them too, which helps. $3,000 scholarship, but I knew him, so I reached out very quickly, and it was like literally the next morning, as soon as possible, like within 5 seconds of opening my eyes for the day, I saw this, and that was the last thing I prayed about the night before, and it was like, yeah, God, you opened the door. You closed the door, you opened it literally the next day. And I interviewed, and he knew me, so it worked out great, and I got the job. And I loved it. I love teaching. That's where I really learned that I love teaching. I think I started working for the Makerspace like that spring after that summer. Sorry, no. I was working at the Makerspace at that point. Wait. You start in the fall, you go to a winter break, you do a spring semester, then there's summer. Okay, so I was working at the Makerspace at that point, so I was teaching. And I got to teach high schoolers, and there were 19 kids, I think. And maybe like 5 of them came to UMD. And it was funny. One of them, Pranav, he's in aerospace, and he was only a year ahead of me, or a year under me. Sorry, there's a ambulance coming that needs to get by. Can it get by? Is the question. Let's see if it can. We're all like shuffling traffic to try and get around for a red light, and it's not happening. Let's see. I need to get back over. I'm not taking this turn. Shout out to. Let's see. All right, made it. Yeah, I love teaching. I almost got a job as a teacher out of college instead of what I do now. There was a the Khan Academy. You know Khan Academy. You probably know Khan Academy. If you took the SAT, you know Khan Academy. They have a physical school out in Silicon Valley, California, where it's a very preppy private school. Tuition's like $40K a year, $50K a year. It's like stupid expensive. It's a charter school. But I was recruited to be a makerspace coordinator for Khan Academy in that school because of my prior teaching experience and because I worked in a makerspace. And I had an engineering degree in aerospace engineering, so it's like, yeah, he knows a thing or two. But I put in everything. I put in my cover letter. I wrote a cover letter. I put it in. I was super excited about this, and my family was like hating me for this. They thought it was a super unwise idea because it was super expensive to live out there. But I did the cost breakdown and the metric comparison costs. It would have been, because Maryland has a very high cost of living too, but it would have been, I think, 28% on average more cost of living to live out there than my current area, and they were offering me $130K a year, which is insane. Like, I don't make that now, but that's insane as a teacher. 130K as a teacher, like what? So of course I was excited about this job prospect. I put in my info for it, and the person that was doing hiring, so I was headhunted, but the person who was hiring was on a 2-week vacation. And so I was an applicant who was ready, who I could have started I would have had to move out there, but I could have started the next week. And this guy was on vacation, or I think it was a woman actually who was hiring. And because she was on vacation, she was able to screen more applicants than was expected because it was summer and they needed to get someone before the semester started. So there were, I guess, more qualified people who took the job. And it goes that way sometimes. It be that way. Be that as it may. I'm almost home. I'm turning in. But, yeah. So, this has been my ramblings with no agenda. I don't know what to call this pep talk. I'll think about it. But thank you for listening to my agendaless pep talk. I hope that you've learned a thing or two and have been entertained by just how my brain works and how I connect ideas, if nothing else. Yeah, thanks for listening, and tune into the next one. That will have an agenda, I hope. It should. Yeah, enjoy your Wednesday. Goodbye.